Welcome to episode 42 of the XrmToolCast. In this episode, Jonas and I speak with Mike Stahl, a principal software architect at Microsoft, who works on the Power Apps Source File Pack and Unpack utility. Wow, the name's long, but what it does is even better than the name is. We dive into what the tool is, how it works, what it does, and I have to give a warning here that we do talk about YAML a lot in this episode, as well as JSON and some other file storage options as well. So if that's what you're looking for, you've got the right show. Sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the XrmToolCast. With me, your host, Daryl, always raising the bar, and Jonas, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Rap. What's up, Jonas?
Well, I'm getting tired. Maybe I should go to sleep sometime.
You've been pushing out new tools like crazy, so and brand new tools, and that's a sneak preview. Even though I don't want to get too far into it, for next episode we'll actually be diving into some of those new tools. So make sure you stay around for that. But
also there's two things that keep me up at night. One is I suddenly have an urge to create tools again. And the other is things are happening in your country over there, and they always happen in the middle of the night for us. So it's been a few hours of CNN and around midnight here to see what's happening, what you're up to over there.
Yeah, you could definitely pay attention to what's going on here. I usually don't actually that much, but it's okay.
I'm far away and far enough away so I can sort of take it with the proper amount of distance. I can understand if you're in the middle of it, it gets a bit harder.
Yep. So for today's guest, this is kind of a continuation of an episode we had last year with Mark Schwagert. We did have we actually had to, that's the first time we ever had to actually edit an episode and remove confidential information.
Oh, and except the times where Matt Barber said some things he shouldn't have said. We
did a Matt Barber that we did have to go. It took like 2 weeks for him to approve it, and that was kind of annoying. But yes, we did that one as well. I forgot. That's episode like 2, wasn't it? I think it was like the second.
It was early.
I don't know. It was early. So yes. So that was, I guess you're right. This is the second time. And so the reason we had to do that is it's almost a happy day for me and a sad day for me. It's sad because this is the beginning of the end of one of my tools, the Canvas App Packager. That tool is on life support, and I can hear little blips in the background, and it's slowly dying. And it's gonna end. And the good thing though is that Microsoft is taking it over, and I don't have to worry about it anymore, and they can keep it up to date, and everyone will be much happier. So that's a good thing. So
you said that like you can quit your day job now. Microsoft took over my project, and it's not really like that, right?
No, it's more of I don't feel guilty when I don't have time to touch it. If I So anyway, but So our guest today is from Microsoft, and his name is Mike Stahl. Mike, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Mike, I'll give you a chance to dive into your background here and any other information you want to share. But the tool we're really talking about here, I guess you say it doesn't have a name. It does have a GitHub repository, and the name in bold on that is the Power Apps Source File Pack and Unpack utility. So I'm going to go with that, which is the PASPU. Yeah, something like that. So you got to talk to Jonas about getting some better three-letter acronyms for that. But
can I create
Mike,
an icon as well?
Yes, yes. Mike, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Microsoft, we're great at coming up with names. If the acronym doesn't have at least 16 letters, we're doing something wrong.
Well, marketing always comes and has their way with things too. So it'll change. It always does. So, So Mike, you work for Microsoft. You work on a team, I'm guessing, and you've been working on this project for a while, I'm guessing. Some of which I know because we've been communicating prior to this. But yes, why don't you go ahead and share with our guests or share with our audience? There we go.
Yeah, thank you. I've been at Microsoft for a little while. I've worked on a variety of teams there, including the .NET runtime, Visual Studio tooling, and various Azure resources. And now currently I'm part of the Power Platform team, specifically with Power Apps, Canvas apps right now, and I'm our architect for low code. And so all these low code issues, what does it mean? All these nuances to make low code easy, there a lot of magic has to happen behind. So we're always keeping really busy on, we work hard behind the scenes so that it's really easy up on stage.
Yeah, it's almost like we work hard so you don't have to.
Exactly. Um,
Well,
so
we know
yeah,
all about that, Daryl. I mean, from being tool creators, that's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do.
yeah, I mean, generally, if something works well, it's not an accident. Somebody somewhere has done heroics to make it just flow.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yes.
very true.
Yeah, so I'd love to talk more about this tool that we've just gone public with.
Mhm.
So, as you know, with the Canvas app, you can go and, this is our low code forms experience. You can drag and drop buttons. It's almost like PowerPoint, but PowerPoint plus Excel and letting you actually make apps out of it. And so that's great inside of the designer and that studio experience. But, as developers, we know that there's a whole world in source control and GitHub and collaboration and really,
Mhm.
we have on the professional developer side decades of experience dealing with these sort of problems, and we basically want to be able to leverage that goodness for Power Apps. So all these hard problems like how do multiple developers collaborate? How do I get a good change log? Something bad happened on Tuesday, somebody made a change to my app. How do I figure out what that change was?
Mhm.
And not just roll back till Tuesday because I don't want to lose Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday's work, but I just want to fix that one thing. And while I'm at it, I'd kind of like to see what else this person might have touched as well. And in the professional developer community, with source control and GitHub, etc., these are very standard daily sort of competencies, and we're trying to bring some of that goodness to these parts of the Power Platform and Power Apps specifically.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's something that is huge these for all these non people without a heavy dev background that are walking into this, and they're used to a black box of versions. I see my version I saved yesterday. I see my version I saved an hour ago. I see this version from last week. I can roll back to that version, but I have no idea what's in that version. I have no idea what changed between this version and that version, except what's in my head. And if someone else on my team was working, I have no idea what they did. And so, for people that haven't really dipped their toes into anything on the dev heavier side in source control like that, seeing what this can do is a game changer, I think, for them. And that's really what this whole thing was about, right?
Yeah, that's I think that's fair. There's all of this goodness that professional developers have, patterns that we have for dealing with these sort of problems around auditing, collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
seeing the extent of who's making changes to the document, what else did they change while they were in, how do I remove a bad change, how do I merge changes from two different people, all these things, and we want to leverage this goodness for Power Apps. And so the basic approach that we're taking there is, okay, well, what if we took a Power App, which you can export it as this binary MS app file, similar to how you might have an Excel file that's an XLSX file, but it's like, that's the first step. What you can't check that into source control, you can't really diff it, you can't compare it. It's this opaque binary. And so the tool that we've created here has really been to open this up. And so to be able to, rather than just export a Canvas app as a opaque binary, what if we could export it as source files that you can check into GitHub, and you can all those things that you do with source files that they just work naturally. And it turns out there's sort of 100 reasons why this was hard. And it's sort of
I
fun
think
to
I
get
know at
into
least
some of
40
those.
of them, but yes, I'm sure there was more that you unearthed.
Yes. But going through all of these, but really keeping our eye on the prize, that we're trying to enable really valuable customer scenarios by leveraging the goodness that you have with source control for Power Platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I mean, when what you're talking about here, being able to find the diffs, what was committed by this developer or this maker on Tuesday, it also requires, I mean, where we're coming from is, of course, even if you unpack the MS app file, which, just like any Office document and so on, is still a zip file. So if you unpack that, well, you have the JSON, which is really sort of minimized in format, so it's just one long line of code. And so the first step, I guess, is at least making it readable in a format that's not just, okay, there was a change on line 1 of 1 every time. So that, I guess, would be one thing. And the second thing is to actually divide it into different files to make it possible to make granular commits.
Yeah, and really that's just a start, because we did have people take the MS app and unzip it and say, oh, you know what, there's a bunch of JSON files under the hood. But that that doesn't really solve your problem, because, for example, one is that JSON's not canonical. So you might, we have this problem, we call it noisy diffs.
Mm-hmm.
That if I take my app and I don't make any changes in Studio and I save it 3 times and do diffs, I shouldn't see any diffs. Just saving the same version. And it turns out even that, as simple as it sounds, is actually a hard problem, because JSON, for example, the keys in an object are not ordered. And
Mm-hmm.
so you might have an object that we write out to JSON, and because they're
Mm-hmm.
unordered, 3 different saves of the same object might give you 3 different, totally different text files.
Yep.
Now you could parse it and compare it and see, oh, actually they all have the same properties, but when you look at it in a diff, the files would look like they were totally rewritten. So even getting canonical is one thing, but there's even a more fundamental problem. One was that in our file format, there's really 2 different audiences. There's a file format that's good for machines, so it's fast to load, it's fast for the service to operate on it. And then there's another audience that's also very important, and that's formats that are good for humans. And it turns out that what the machine wants and what the human wants, they're very different audiences. So an easy example of that, a machine, when it's deserializing a list, would love to know the length of the list up front, because then it helps it
Mm-hmm.
allocate the memory, etc. For a human, that's a real pain. If I have my list of things, don't make me put the counter at the top of how many items are on the list,
Mm-hmm.
right? So simple example like that, 2 very different audiences. So part of the challenge in creating this tool has been to really bridge between the audiences. So not just unzip the MS app, but then painstakingly we went through every piece of the app line by line to go translate it into something that was meaningful for humans. So make the JSON canonical, information that didn't need to be in there, like length of a list, remove it and then we would infer it later. Information like timestamps that would
Mm-hmm.
cause noisy diffs. Every time you save it, we would go spatter some timestamps around there. So that just means that's another noisy diff when you compare it across different saves. So a lot of different challenges to actually make the source control experience work the way that people really expect it to.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're mentioning audience and humans as audience, there has to be also a use case for that audience. So what would the use case for the human audience be, other than, oh, okay, the obvious thing is the thing you mentioned. I want to look at what happened last Tuesday, and I can understand the diff that I'm seeing on my screen. But do you see any other use cases to sort of motivate the selection of file structure?
Yeah, a few different ones there. So one is just I want to save it to GitHub. So that's sort of our first step on the ladder, or any source control system. Something that's more persistent than just this binary file. 2, I want to be able to do diffs and audit history. So what changed on Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. I want to be able to collaboration. Source control opens up a whole path for collaboration. So I've got 3 people working on my app now, and I want to see who changed what and what else did they change. Um, and this opens up a whole door of pull requests and merging. So what now if I have 2 people collaborating and working on their features in parallel, and to be able to merge them when they're done? And again, in a source control world, that's a really common pattern. I mean, that's how everything's done. In this, with Canvas apps, it's a little difficult today to collaborate, and so we think that this opens up a collaboration path that way. Um, but there's a whole set of then, we talk about crawl, walk, run. So we're sort of in the crawl phase. Some of these
Mm.
scenarios are walking, but there's a whole set of run scenarios. So you look at things like GitHub has this feature that really blew me away, where I had my repositories that I didn't really pay attention to, and then I started seeing pull requests on them, and I thought, well, that's weird. I haven't touched this repo in a year. Why is it getting a pull request? Nobody cares about it. And I'd go look at it, and it was actually a PR generated by GitHub and their dependency bot saying, hey, you've got an old version of this library that has a security bug. Here's a pull request to go fix it.
Hmm.
And I was just blown away. And we can start doing things like that as well. It offers just whole new scenarios for that sort of collaboration and innovation. So we're really excited to see where this can end up going.
Yeah. So, okay, we've been talking a bit about splitting the files, making them readable, making them possibly even editable by humans here. And I still sense there's a big pink elephant standing somewhere in the middle of our recording studio. It's not JSON anymore, it's YAML.
Yes. So, one.
Mike, you didn't sound excited to admit to that, Mike. What's up with that?
So that was a really interesting question that we had a lot of internal debate about, what's the right way to do this?
Yeah.
And now
And now
there's a
there's an
lot
external debate instead.
of, yeah. So we now, as an aside, this is all on GitHub. It's all open source. So these conversations now are happening publicly in our issues. So definitely for listeners, if they have an opinion, go to the issue page on GitHub, add a comment, upvote somebody else's comment. We're trying to be extremely transparent in how all this is happening. And one of the more interesting threads we do have is about our usage of YAML. And what's going on there is a Power App has all these formulas. And what's the right way to represent these formulas in a text file? So there's a lot of stuff in a Power App that's not a formula, data connections and state that the UI editor might use and things like that. And for those sort of things, we just keep them as JSON because JSON's great.
Hmm.
But for the formulas, what do we do? So we had a few different options. We could have kept them as JSON, but the reason that we didn't do that is escaping. We wanted humans to be able to edit these files. We wanted, for example, on documentation, how many times do you see an answer to a forum question that's of the form, add a gallery, add a label, go set the label property to this property, go set this property to that property, and it's a series of manual steps to go add three controls and wire them together. We wanted to be able to represent that as a code blob. Like if you look at any other language, in C# answers, it's just paste these 6 lines of C#. So we wanted a similar experience of when people are trying to describe how to wire up multiple controls together to do something, that it could just be a single snippet of code, whether that's on the forums post or even in our documentation. So we saw, okay, there's going to be some format that people are using in documentation. There's going to be some format that they're going to see in this offline tool in VS Code. And for the formulas, certainly there's a format in Studio in the formula bar. And we wanted it to be the same exact text in all three cases. Mm-hmm. So we didn't want a case where if somebody copied from Studio's formula bar and pasted it into VS Code, they had to go to say, oh, wait a second, there's a quote in the middle. I need to go escape it. Or, oh, this formula is spread across 2 lines. I need to go do something magical because of the new line in there. So we wanted this easy copy and paste between these different sources and to have one version of this language as opposed to several flavors based off your context. So as soon as that was probably our priority 0 principle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
JSON doesn't let you do that.
No, of course it doesn't. So, but I have to ask, since you mentioned, okay, you need to be able to post examples of wiring up 3 different controls together. I mean, I can understand if you paste a formula into the formula window, but since you are opening up to this, okay, here's a YAML block that will create 3 controls for you and they're wired up, you would need some kind of new editor in the designer. I mean, currently you cannot do that. You can click and drag the controls on your forms or your screens, but there's no way to edit the source code, which this would in that case be, I guess.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So today you could inject that by in the offline side. So somebody might, pull this down to VS Code, paste it into VS Code, package and upload it. Certainly, this does beg the question of, golly, it would be nice in Studio to have some sort of magical button that let me paste my formulas here and a multi-line snippet, and it will go and apply it to the 6 different controls. So that's a feature that we're looking at. That's, crawl, walk, run. That's in the walk phase. So we're still crawling.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm just glad it's not in the run phase. So that's I was guessing that'd be more of a run phase thing. But okay, walk phase, that's good. Good to hear. Okay.
Yeah, as soon as we can. So this is why JSON didn't work as a format. So
Yeah.
then the question became, well, is there an existing format that we could use, or should we have our own? And this was a really tough decision because on one hand, we already have a language, a formula language. It's based off Excel. And so the question becomes, well, that handles single properties. Should we extend that language to be multiple property? It's just adding a few grammar rules and we could do it. So we could extend our current language, or we could use an existing thing. And YAML's the only candidate on the existing side that was, sufficiently popular and flexible to be considered. So we really had this decision between those 2 courses of action. We've previewed with YAML. We prioritized going with something existing over inventing something new. We'll see how that plays out. We would love to hear people's thoughts. We have an issue on our GitHub page to discuss it, so we'll definitely encourage folks to chime in with their thoughts.
And it's very good. I mean, I think the big thread there is issue number 111. You can't miss it. Written by
Yes.
Scott Duro, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when we start off with the whole, hey, we're doing this in YAML thing, I think people's first results that have done anything with YAML or even know what YAML is are like, ugh, why? But I love the fact that once you walk through the reasoning of why, you're like, well, yeah, I can see why that's the most important thing, or why that's something that's going to force your hand that way. Do you want to create something brand new? No, use whatever exists. Okay, well, that limits the options. Hey, do we want to be able to want users to be able to copy and paste from this place to that place and not have weird encodings they have to worry about and everything else they have to fight? And so that was one of those decisions that at first sight, like, what, why, no, what were they thinking? But then, there's a reason things are the way they are, because people spend a lot of time thinking about it and making decisions, and even going across multiple areas of the org as well, because you're having to deal with the people that are actually creating the save file on the server, and then you're dealing with the people that are going to be extracting that and managing that kind of stuff, and then the tool itself. I mean, so right now you have a GitHub project. You don't have a build for it, so you have to build it manually. And then what is that build? What do you get from that, Mike?
Yeah, and actually, can I just inject one more thing on the YAML before answering that next
Inject
question?
5 more if you need to, but and if this becomes all YAML, it may not be that interesting.
Just one quick thing, and then I'll move on to the next. Where we did
sure.
land is that we ended up going with a subset of YAML, which seems to be a common pattern. Because part of the thing, YAML is huge. I think the spec is 10 times larger than JSON's. It's got a corner case for every day of the week, and that's part of what causes that negative resistance about it. And so, as going through this debate internally, we had like a 20-page document going through these corner cases and whatnot. And so where we landed on is having this restricted version where we have some very calculated restrictions to help steer people away from those sort of problems. And so it's another thing that we'll get some feedback on, is did we make the right things? But it is true YAML, so we'll see how that all plays out.
Yeah. So a Canvas app YAML file will always be fully general YAML compliant, but anything YAML cannot be used within the Canvas app YAML files, right?
Exactly. So YAML has a bunch of super crazy features that can be very confusing.
Yeah.
And so we do restrict those.
Yeah. Are you, or is the tool including, or are you planning on having some way of like a schema or something, so that if you happen to be typing your YAML, which you suggest by finding a solution on Stack Overflow, so so to just to make sure that what I've entered now and am about to upload to my Canvas app will be a valid Power Apps YAML.
Yeah, so that's something that we're working on and trying to make a better experience. So where we're at right now, and I'll dovetail back to Daryl's question. Um, so
don't
we
let
focused
Jonas
on
control this conversation. That's bad.
we focused on round tripping. So
Yeah.
take my Canvas app, round trip it to source files in GitHub, and pull it back. Then in terms of, well, how does somebody actually get hold of this tool? So right now we are open source, again, on our GitHub repository. People can go to it and they can build the tool from the repository and try it out themselves. And so it's really targeted at some early adopters. And what we're looking for right now is feedback on the file format. The YAML thing is a big one, but there's 20 other things in a Canvas app, themes and templates and connections and all component libraries and all these things. And so getting feedback on, okay, is the format right? Because once we really go public, it's tough to change the format. So we wanted to lock that in. And then in terms of shipping, right now we're just in GitHub. People can build it themselves. And then our next step is to be available in the Power Apps command line tools. So these are the existing tools. If you're, for example, going to create a PCF control, it's that same tool set. So we're adding some commands there for Canvas apps, and so that will give a release vehicle for how somebody can use this tool without having to build it themselves. And then eventually it will be in Solution Packager, and that means all of the Power Platform, ALM, DevOps operations will just pick it up automatically.
And I guess since having a CLI is one thing that would enable, well, any one of us out here to start creating helpers to perform these tasks. And I know since, when Daryl opened the show, he mentioned we had Mark Schweigert on, and he talked about the Power Ops that was released recently, and that is somehow using this language tooling utilities as well to include in the whole automated branching and merging and so on of your environments. So is that something that are you cooperating there, or are you strictly suppliers to Mark and his team?
Well, I think it's both. We do supply and we do cooperate. So we love feedback. We want to listen to customers. We want to listen to users. It's part of why we're open source. So we do supply him resources, the assets here, and then feedback that we get from Mark or anybody else, we take and we go apply it.
That's great. Yeah, and I understand. I think it's obviously great that you are going with this approach of open sourcing it and really wanting everyone's feedback on it. But I can imagine it will take a lot of time to just go through all the feedback rather than closing the doors and you make your own decisions and then you release it. Boom, it's out there. So, but I really like the approach that you have here.
Well, thank you. Well, a lot of it is just, this is where the Power Platform community is. We really want their feedback. Daryl's tool was open source. That sets a great precedence there. And
wait, you're following my precedence?
Hey, I need somebody to blame if this all goes south, right?
Oh, yes. There we go. Yes.
Sorry, I still have to circle back a bit to the file formats and so on, since that's what you want feedback for. So maybe I can, if I ask you a question, I might sort of inspire some ideas by our listeners. But you mentioned that some things are still JSON. JSON is a good format for some things where you are moving to YAML for other parts. So is the distinction like, okay, the things that should never be touched or perhaps not even read by humans, keep it JSON, but anything that requires a human eye should be YAML, or is there any other sort of distinction?
So I get this is a little bit of a religious war. My opinion on the matter is Uh, I think JSON is wonderful. I think JSON is unequivocally better than XML. Like anything that's XML, I believe should be JSON. I think 9 times out of 10, JSON is better than YAML. There's one thing, and again, this is my opinion, disclaimers, etc.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I think YAML does better than JSON, and that's multi-line strings without escaping.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one key feature in YAML, and that's why it's taken off in DevOps, because you need, my 10-line PowerShell script. I got to put it in somewhere. Multi-line string escaping. Basically, everything else, I think JSON is better. It's much simpler to understand, much fewer corner cases. Um, if we just had trivial literals, we would have stuck with JSON. But because we have these multi-line formulas that have new lines, they have quotes, they have other weird characters, uh, that's the thing that really pushed us into the YAML camp. But really, I think people should start with JSON and have a reason why they can't use JSON.
Okay.
That's my going to get me in trouble. Cue the hate mail, but give you guys some red meat and controversy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You'll
Good.
get hate from everybody except for Jason Latimer. He'll probably agree with you. Pick a Jason that we all know. So,
that a pun?
Yeah, it was a pun. Jason Latimer, Jason Theta,
it was
Jason.
reasonably good.
Jason. Reasonably good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for your vote of confidence, Jonas. I appreciate that. So I will say I just got my 5-year MVP award thing this year. Jonas, I know you're I think 2 years ahead of me, right? You're at 7 now, 6.
Me? No.
7?
I still have 5 rings, or discs, or whatever.
Okay. Anyway, all right. So maybe we're the same, but I thought you had more than I did. But anyway,
No.
Of my time being an MVP, this is the most interaction and most time for me to interject my thoughts and opinions in a subject matter before anything really happened that I've ever had within Microsoft so far. It was we had meetings beforehand and one-on-ones beforehand, and lots of stuff I could interject my opinions of something that's already been done. But this was a lot of, hey, we're in the middle of this, 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 get your feedback. And to hear that we're still saying publicly, we're in the middle of this, we're in the middle of this, we're in the middle of this, being able to get feedback from people, I think is huge. And I think it's something that is very, very beneficial for people that will be using that. So we'll obviously have the GitHub repo in our show notes, but it is the Microsoft/Power Apps language tooling. That is the repo in case you need to look it up afterwards, and it will be in the show notes. But yeah, so highly recommend spending some time looking at that and getting to see if there's anything that is going to affect the way that you, and this is you, our listener, is going to be doing if you are responsible for anything related to Canvas apps, basically, right? Yeah.
And I know that feeling you get when, especially if you're looking at Greg Lindhorst's blog post when he announced this on January 14, there's a lot of, we're still very early in this and we want your feedback. You kind of get the feeling of this cute little garage hacker company that just wants to, hey, world, we exist, give us feedback. And I like it.
We try.
Yeah.
That helps. Anything else we need to make sure we cover, Mike? Or anything else you want to dive into or talk about? I mean, we've talked about, yes, it's in YAML and JSON, but for the formulas, that's in YAML, and the reason is that we want to be able to have users copy and paste stuff from wherever they're at and have it work, which is like impressive to have that goal and to be succeeding in that, I believe, in what you're doing. And anything else we need to be thinking about?
That's so open-ended. Let's give it a few weeks. Let's see what sort of feedback we get, see what sort of directions things go in. I think this opens the door to so many exciting opportunities. So I'm this may be the most excited I've been while being on the Power Platform team. So let's see where it goes. And I'm optimistic.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
cool.
I mean, I think this is one of these things that's not in itself a great feature, but it opens up so much possibilities. And like going back to what happened on Tuesday, I mean, to be able to track that, you need to sort of get a culture of doing small commits. I mean, as developers, we learn by experience or by someone telling us, make small commits so that it's possible to actually track the changes and track where something broke. But I guess, I mean, when you're working with your apps, you can save them, and then by the end of the week, you commit it to the source control where you run all this unpack and commit it. And by then you will have a gazillion of changes in those files, and it won't be that easy to track the individual changes. So I'm just saying it's a good tool, but it also needs the culture of knowing how to use it.
And even using that. So since Mark's ALM tools are using that, that's probably actually the easiest way for people to actually see what this looks like, right? Mm-hmm. If they have a Canvas app and they use the Power Apps ALM, I don't know what the name the tool is that they announced. Is that the ALM toolkit? Is that what that is?
I think so. Currently Power Apps.
Power Apps. The Power Apps ALM toolkit, right? Power Apps ALM.
It's anyway, part of the COE things, I think.
Center of Excellence, yeah, ALM, not Center of Excellence stuff. Yeah, anyway, so whatever that is, which obviously me and I'm an excellent podcast host here because I'm not even sure what the name of that is, but that is utilizing under the covers this tool. And so even if you don't want to go through the route of building the whole repository and being able to use it and figuring that out, you could use that tool to say, hey, what happens when I export out my Canvas app using that ALM toolkit, that COE? What happens to it? What does it look like? If I change it, what does it look like now? And that way you can see what the format is, and you can go, oh, this is bad, or oh, this is good, or oh, this is missing, or this is hard to find, and you can give that feedback and not just make it easier to get started with essays. Does that make sense, Mike? Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah, and this is the first step. We'll find easy ways to integrate it. We want the low code and the maker audience to be the citizen developers to be able to get the goodness that you have with source control without having to get a PhD in Git.
Yep.
Right. So we're trying to have our cake and eat it too. This is our first step. We'll find ways to make it really easy.
Mm-hmm. When you say PhD and Git, I can't help but think of the XKCD comic, the online comic. That's like, how do you fix Git issues? And it's like you try, you search, and then you go email this one guy, and he gives you the 4 commands you have to run. Like that's.
Yeah. I have that guy.
Experience with Git.
and we're trying really hard not to fall into that trap. The North Star for us is that there are this isn't about Git or GitHub. This is about solving real customer problems. So what happened last Tuesday? How do I go find out what Jonas broke and remove it? Stuff like that. Those are the problems. Git is part of the solution. We want to make sure that as we cooperate with source control and Git, we stay focused on solving the problems and not just checking off technology buzzwords.
Yep.
It's not a game of buzzword bingo here.
Yep. You mean we don't have any blockchain involved with this yet?
Stay tuned for next week.
And AI.
And AI blockchain. Yeah, AI. Throw them together. Even better.
Cue nervous laughter.
Oh, well, Mike, thanks for all the hard work I know that you and others in your team have done to get this to this point. I know when I started working on the Canvas app packager, I had to go through a lot of fun, quote unquote fun, in order to actually get that to a point where I could make it usable. And even then I was throwing out a whole bunch of stuff that as Microsoft, you can't throw it out because you have to deal with it, because you have to support it better than I would. And so, yes, I know there's been lots and lots and lots of work on that. So personal shout out and thank you for that. And I look forward to it continually being improved and used in the community and for years to come. So thank you for that. Jonas, any other questions we need to ask?
No, I'm good now.
No?
I know everything.
Right. You know everything, Mike. Anything else that you wanna talk about before we get how people can get a hold of you and anything else you want to share?
Yeah, the best way to get hold of me would, well, certainly if it's about this project, would be on our GitHub site. So anybody can file an issue, and we try to have the open conversations there. And then you can contact us through that as well.
Okay, awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
And I noticed I can vouch for it that you're actually really fast to respond there as well. It's not just the issues, someone came in there, let's spend every second Friday looking at it. So it's really, really good response rate there.
Thanks.
Yep. Well, that's how people can get hold of our guests and get hold of the project. Jonas, how can people get hold of us?
Oh, they should find us on Twitter at XrmToolCast. That's where everything happens. Well, on LinkedIn, and you can send us an email as well, cast@xrmtoolbox.com.
Let's get an Instagram account next because,
Absolutely.
No, we don't want to do that.
No.
We don't want to do that. So, but all right. Well, Mike, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it, and appreciate the time. Thank you, man.
Thanks, guys. It's been great.
Bye. This has been the XrmToolCast with Jonas Rapp and Daryl Labar. If you have any questions for Jonas or I, or suggestions for future episodes, please send them to cast@xrmtoolbox.com or tweet to XrmToolCast.